After justifying and confirming the value of a project, the product owner should consider the organizational policies, procedures, templates, and general standards dictated by the Scrum guidance body or similar organizational project board or office when planning a project, at the same time maximizing value-driven delivery. The onus for determining how the value is created falls on the business stakeholders, sponsors, customers, and/or users, while the Scrum team concentrates on what is to be developed. Some common tools recommended by a Scrum guidance body might include the following. Value stream mapping. Value stream mapping uses flowcharts to illustrate the flow of information needed to complete a process. This technique may be used to streamline a process by helping to determine non-value-added elements while working to eliminate non-value-added elements. This can also be used to streamline Scrum processes, for example, to improve sprint velocity. In the figure above, identification of process times and wait times will help streamline the system by decreasing wait times and improving process efficiencies. Next is customer value-based prioritization. Customer value-based prioritization places primary importance on the customer and strives to implement user stories with the highest value first. Such high-value user stories are identified and moved to the top of the prioritized product backlog. A team can use a variety of prioritization schemes to determine high-value features. First, simple schemes. Simple schemes involve labeling items as priority 1, 2, 3, or high, medium, and low, and so on. Although this is a simple and straightforward approach, it can become problematic because there are often a tendency to label everything as priority 1 or high. Even high, medium, and low prioritization schemes can encounter similar difficulties. Next is Moscow prioritization. The Moscow prioritization scheme derives its name from the first letters of the phrases must have, should have, could have, and won't have. This prioritization method is generally more effective than simple schemes. The labels are in decreasing order of priority, with must-have features being those without which the product will have no value, and won't-have features being those that, although they would be nice to have, are not necessary to be included. Another technique is monopoly money. This technique involves giving the customer monopoly money, or false money, equal to the amount of the project budget, and asking them to distribute it among the user stories under consideration. In this way, the customer prioritizes based on what they are willing to pay for each user story. Next, the 100-point method. The 100-point method was developed by Dean Leffingwell and Don Widrig in 2003. It involves giving the customer 100 points that they can use to vote for features that they feel are the most important. Kano analysis is another popular technique. The Kano analysis was developed by Noriaki Kano in 1984 and involves classifying features or requirements into 4 categories based on customer preferences. Exciters and delighters, features that are new or of high value to the customer. Satisfiers, features that offer value to the customer. Dissatisfiers, features which, if not present, are likely to cause a customer to dislike the product, but not to affect the level of satisfaction if they are present. And indifferent, features that will not affect the customer in any way and should be eliminated. The following figure depicts an illustration of Kano analysis, which illustrates how the presence or absence of attributes in a product or service can affect customer satisfaction. This information can assist in determining the relative priorities of features that can offer the most value to the customer. Interestingly, features usually move down the classification list over time. Customers will come to expect features, such as cameras on phones, and these features will move from being exciters or delighters to satisfiers and eventually to dissatisfiers. Relative prioritization ranking is next. A simple listing of user stories in order of priority is an effective method for determining the desired user stories for each iteration or release of the product or service. The purpose is to create a simple, single list with the goal of prioritizing features, rather than being distracted by multiple prioritization schemes. This simple list also provides a basis for incorporating changes and identified risks when necessary. Each change or identified risk can be inserted into the list based on its priority relative to the other user stories in the list. Typically, new changes will be included at the expense of features that have been assigned a lower priority. Defining the minimum marketable features, or MMF, is extremely important during this process, so that the first release or iteration happens as early as possible, leading to increased ROI. Normally, these user stories would rank highest in priority. Story mapping. Story mapping is another technique that provides a visual outline of the product and its key components. Story mapping, first formulated by Jeff Patton in 2005, is commonly used to illustrate product roadmaps. Story maps depict the sequence of product development iterations and map out which user stories will be included in the first, second, third, and subsequent releases. In Scrum, it is well understood that this is only a current outlook and is expected to be reviewed or changed frequently. The story mapping in the following figure illustrates how the Scrum team plans out different releases and assigns higher priority to the release happening in the near future. The team is expected to have a better understanding of the user stories in the upcoming release, and the further out the releases, the more likely the future releases will change. This brings us to the end of this module. I look forward to seeing you in the next session. Thank you for learning with us.